Good evening and welcome to the Virtual College Exploration Fair that's being hosted for New Jersey students and sponsored by the New Jersey Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. We thank you so much for being able to join us this evening. A couple housekeeping announcements. Right now, your camera and microphone are off and they will remain off during the session. So if you have questions for the presenters, please put them into the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen, and they can be addressed during the session. Also, this is being recorded, so it will be appearing on the NJACAC.org website. So feel free to go there at any point to see this session or other sessions after tonight's event. At this point, I'm going to turn it on over to you, Morgan, and you enjoy the evening.
Thank you. Go ahead and share my screen really quick. All right, so yes, welcome everyone. Thank you again for joining us on this Friday evening. As just a quick reminder, please feel free to drop any questions that you have throughout the session in the Q&A box, and I'll try to answer those as we go along, but we'll also try and save some time at the end to wrap up with questions as well. My name's Morgan Hybert. I'm an Assistant Director of Admission at Colorado College and Colorado Springs native. So excited to talk not only about the great and wonderful institution of CC, but also about our surrounding area. And so I want to start off with a little bit of that today, a little bit about how our sense of place influences your academic experience, and then really diving in deeply into that academic experience and the format of the block plan that is unique to CC. And then we'll wrap up kind of the end of the program with the really fun stuff, the admission and financial aid process, before turning it over to you for all your wonderful questions. So to get us started, as our name suggests, we are in Colorado, actually right here in the Rocky Mountain time zone. And so we are actually the only highly selective liberal arts institution in that Rocky Mountain time zone. And so we occupy a really unique space within the world of higher education. So as you're thinking about other small private liberal arts institutions, maybe top tier institutions, you'll notice that they're clustered primarily on the East Coast, a few in the Midwest, and then on the West Coast as well. And so we're kind of the only option for you in the middle, but excited to talk a little bit about how not only this is distinct, but how our location influences your academic experience at CC. So we are in Colorado, as I already mentioned, but we're in Colorado Springs, about an hour and a half south of the capital city of Denver. And Colorado College and Colorado Springs are both located on the unceded territories of the Ute peoples. And so we constantly recognize the complex histories of our land, and want to utilize the land on which our institution lies in really positive and meaningful ways, and making sure that we're not taking advantage of that land in a way that it won't be available for future generations. So things like our ability to move and become carbon neutral in January of this year are just one example of how we do that. But Colorado Springs as a city is about 712,000 people, so a really good sized city, and we're located about a 10-minute walk from the downtown area. So as a student, you have easy access to all of the amenities that the city has to offer, and the city of Colorado Springs is right at the base of Pikes Peak, this mountain that you're seeing in the left-hand corner of your screen. This is America's Mountain, was actually inspiration for Catherine Lee Bates as she was writing the words to America the Beautiful, and is the backdrop to our campus. Colorado Springs is surrounded by national forest land on 3 sides. We're actually the largest city that's immediately adjacent to national forest land. And so as a student, you really have the best of both worlds, being in that city environment, but really easy access, about 10 minutes to over 300 miles of hiking and biking trails. On campus, we're going to be a small, tight-knit campus community, about 2,200 students, and so you're really going to get to know your fellow students and professors through the process, which we'll talk a little bit about moving forward. In addition to our main campus in Colorado Springs, we do have 2 locations throughout Colorado that we will utilize for courses and for opportunities for experiential learning that we'll touch on. We call those field study, and I'll give some examples a little bit later on. But one location is in Divide, Colorado, which is about 45 minutes from Colorado Springs and is right on the side of the mountain. So really an opportunity for students to be engaged with the Rocky Mountain Range. The CC cabin also has a small ropes course, so you'll often see clubs or organizations, athletic programs go here for team building or leadership training exercises as well. The second location is our Baca campus, which is actually in Crestone, Colorado, about 3.5 hours from Colorado Springs, and located right next to the Sand Dunes National Park. So a great way to remove yourself from city life, as Crestone is an extremely small town with very little light pollution. So we'll talk about some opportunities for utilizing both of those locations later on. But our location is not the only influence into your educational experience. You're also going to think about the students that you're in class with. So we actually draw students from 48 of the 50 states and just over 40 different countries. And so this is really important as you're thinking about being a student on a small campus, because you're going to be able to engage with your fellow students through your educational experience. And so our classes are going to be highly focused on discussion and debate. So really getting engrossed in the material that you're covering with one another. And so thinking about students not only coming from different geographic backgrounds and the experiences that different geographic locations provide to your background and experience, but also thinking about students from different racial and ethnic backgrounds, different political backgrounds, religious backgrounds, and really wanting to have a diversity of thought on our campus. If you're engaging in a debate, it is not very interesting if every single student thinks the same way you do. And so it's really important to us that there is that difference in thought and opinion as you're thinking about shaping, reframing, or presenting your thoughts and ideas, but also maybe changing those thoughts and ideas within the classroom setting. So that's something that we're very focused on as we're thinking about our incoming class. And the reason is your classes are going to be on average about 16 students. We actually cap our classes at 25. So we really want you to have those meaningful discussions in your classroom, the ability to connect not only with your peers who are coming from all over, but also meaningfully with your professors. Every single one of our classes will be taught by a professor with a terminal degree in their field. And so you don't have a teaching assistant leading you through that coursework, but you get to engage with your professor through that learning experience. One of my favorite things about the classes at CC is a lot of times on the first day of class, you'll hear the professor say, you know, this is a partnership. I want to partner with you in your learning because I too want to learn from you. I want to learn from your experiences, your thoughts, your opinions. And yes, while I have expertise in this area, we don't live in a static world. Things are constantly changing and shifting, and I want you to push me and challenge me as we're moving through this coursework as well, so that we can all grow and develop together. And I think that's a really unique approach, and one that's definitely a reflection of the innovation spirit of the CC community. Your professors are not only leading you through your coursework, but also helping guide you through your educational experience at CC. So every single student will meet with an academic advisor or faculty member in selecting coursework. And we do have general requirements that students will complete, but there are not 5 set classes that every single student will take as a student at CC. Instead, we want to give you a lot of choice and autonomy in the courses that you're selecting to find classes that sound interesting, while also having that really well-rounded and robust education. And so we will encourage you and actually require you to take classes across different academic disciplines because there's a lot of research that's looking at students who are currently in your shoes, going through their college search process, maybe in their first or second year of college even, and they're saying that many of you may be part of new industries or the creation of new industries in the future. And so as you're thinking about selecting a major, there may not be one that exists yet if you're helping create that field. And so we want to provide you with skills and tools in your tool belt that will help you be successful regardless of what industry you go into, whether that's the one that you chose as your academic major, or if it's one that you help have a hand in creating. And so things like being able to effectively communicate through your writing, through your speaking, through presentation skills and abilities, being able to think critically and creatively, being a lifelong learner and knowing how to do research to back up your ideas with support or with data. These are all skill sets that can help you be successful no matter what industry you go into. And so that's what our curriculum is really thought through in conjunction with faculty, alumni, and students as we develop those courses and requirements. The only required course sequence that students will take is that CC 100 and 120 course sequence. It's actually the first 2 classes that you'll take while you're a student at CC, and are really meant to lay the foundation for you. So thinking about not only navigating, transitioning to a college campus, but also to the block plan, which we'll talk a little bit about here in a moment, and just making sure that you understand all of the resources that are at your disposal on our campus, so that you can put your best foot forward every time you step foot in the classroom, and that you can be successful and happy as a student at CC. Now, that all being said, you're still going to select an academic major, maybe a double major or a minor, and you still have the opportunity to think about life after CC as part of that conversation with your advisor. And so your advisor will not only help you navigate that process in selecting a major, which we've included some examples of some of our most popular or distinctive majors here, but we have over 80 different programs of study. And so I would encourage you to jump on our website and take a look at the full list to get a sense for what opportunities may be available to you. So your advisor will help you in that process. You're not required to declare your major until the end of your sophomore year. And so you have time to really explore our curriculum, even if you know what you ultimately want to end up majoring in. That way, if you take a class in sociology or anthropology, absolutely fall in love with it, you don't have to worry about going through a process of switching your major because you have not yet declared. That being said, if you came in thinking you wanted to be an economics major and at the end of the day still want to be an economics major, you're still right on track. And so they can help you with that. I mentioned also thinking about those long-term goals. So every time you're meeting with your advisor, they're having that conversation of what is it that you want to accomplish during your time as a student on our campus, whether that's doing research, study abroad, doing an internship, but also what are those long-term goals? So what does life after CC look like? Is that going into a career field right away, going to graduate school, or is it doing Peace Corps, taking time off before engaging in one of these things? And so they're helping make sure that you're taking advantage of all of the coursework and opportunities that will make you the most competitive applicant in whatever that next stage may be. For students that are interested in one of our pre-professional programs or tracks, you have an advisor specifically versed in those areas. And so they know the prerequisite coursework that those schools want to see, what prep courses. So if you're thinking about, an MCAT, LSAT, GRE, GMAT, all those lovely standardized tests that unfortunately don't go away just for grad school, they're making sure that you're taking advantage of those prep courses as well. They'll help you through the application process, including, helping collect letters of recommendation or do mock interviews. So really helping you navigate that entire process from the moment that you're arriving on campus and transitioning to CC, but to the point where you're ready to walk across the stage and move on to that next adventure as well. All right, so we've talked broadly about the curriculum at CC, but I do want to dive in a little bit deeper to the academic model at CC, because this is definitely one of the most unique facets of Colorado College. We are actually one of only a handful of schools in the entire world that function and operate on what's called the block plan. And so this started for us 50 years ago with our faculty seeing students whose attention was a little bit divided, right? They were taking multiple classes over the course of the semester. And so they might be taking a biology class, but also an English class, a French class, a sociology class. And so they weren't fully devoted to any one of their courses because they did have to balance that coursework over the course of the semester. And so in turn, our faculty decided to develop what we now know and love as the block plan. And so the concept of the block plan is that students will still take 4 classes over the course of the semester, but the difference is that they're going to take those classes one at a time. So one class for 3.5 weeks. For 3.5 weeks, we use that biology example. For 3.5 weeks, you get to be a biologist because that is your one and only focus. You get to dive headfirst into your studies, get lost in your learning, can do that extra chapter of reading or dive into something with a little bit more research and share it with your classmates the next day because that is your one and only focus. You don't have that English reading to do or that French quiz the next day to worry about because you don't have those other classes running simultaneously. So for 3.5 weeks, that class will meet Monday through Friday from about 9 a.m. until noon. If that class has a lab component, the lab would meet in the afternoon. On that final week, that half week, your class would conclude by noon on Wednesday. So by noon on Wednesday, any final paper, project, exam, whatever that final encompassing component would be, that would be turned in or completed. You then have a 4.5-day block break to refuel, recharge, and reset before your next block starts. So unlike a traditional college campus, you have a final every 3.5 weeks instead of just one massive finals week at the end of each term. So I'll say right here, this is a very different system. It's not right, wrong, better, or worse. It's just different. And we definitely would encourage you to play around with our Build Your Own Block Plan tool on our website to get a more tangible sense for what this may look like. But again, this is just a unique system and a different way of learning. And I'll talk about some of the advantages of the block plan as well. So as you can imagine, 3.5 weeks to cover a semester's worth of content, the course is going to be rigorous. It's going to move quickly. And the benefit is that, you get to dive into that class really deeply, but then you have 4.5 days after that course to refuel, recharge, and reset. So we know you've worked hard and you've earned a break. So this is 4.5 days off. This is your time. We won't dictate how you spend it. So if you need to catch up on laundry, which hopefully you didn't put off for the entirety of the 3.5 weeks, and binge watch a Netflix series, go for it. If you want to set up a hammock and enjoy some of the 300 days of sunshine that our city sees every year, that's for you. We will offer on-campus programming as well as off-campus. So think about an aerial silks course on campus or a glass blowing class. But off-campus, our outdoor recreation program will take students on various trips. Our longest running block break tradition actually started 50 years ago. It's a bike to Aspen, Colorado from Colorado Springs. So you bike there over the course of 2 days, camping in the middle with the large group of students, and then get to enjoy Aspen before we'll transport you back to campus on a bus for your class on Monday morning. So this really gives you an opportunity to kind of reset before you're diving into your next class. So definitely an advantage to the block plan is those breaks in between. The other opportunity that the block plan provides is that you have one class at a time, and so your class can literally meet anywhere. You're not tied to, the Barnes Science Building, room 102, for example. Sure, you can meet in room 102, but your class could also go to the BACA campus or utilize the CC cabin to get out and learn by doing. So not just learning from your textbook or from your professor, which, believe me, are great resources, but getting out into the field and maybe getting your hands a little dirty. So that might be going to our BACA campus with an astronomy class. So BACA has virtually no light pollution, so you can go and see hundreds of thousands of stars without any kind of aided equipment. Or maybe it's our Intro to Journalism course that spends time on the East Coast, visiting NPR headquarters and the New York Times. So really taking advantage of the opportunity to not have to worry about missing a quiz in another class or missing coursework because you're taking one class at a time. Your class can pick up and go and really have that opportunity for robust experiential learning opportunities. The other area of flexibility with the block plan is actually with study abroad. So we do offer semester and year-long abroad programs. These are with partner institutions and allow students to go almost anywhere that's travel safe per the United States government. But we also offer the flexibility for students to go abroad for a block. So 3.5 weeks in another country, immersed in their language, culture, and history. So this might look like our most popular class, the Odyssey, that sails through the Greek Isles while reading the Odyssey, get a little bit of ancient Greek as well as modern Greek, but also thinking about a world religion class in India, a Chinese language course in Beijing. So giving you that flexibility to study abroad in a 3.5 week time frame with CC students and a CC faculty member. And I think in part due to the flexibility of having the block abroad as an option, we'll see almost 80% of our students study abroad at some point during their time at CC. But study abroad, research, internships are all still available resources for you on the block plan, just as they are on a traditional semester system. So the block plan offers students opportunity, having that class from 9 a.m. till noon, to dive really deeply into research and other opportunities as well. So we do have a summer research consortium where we'll have usually about 200 students on campus in the summer, engaging with their professors through meaningful research projects. And we'll see a lot of our students will be co-authored alongside their professor in that process because we are an undergraduate focused institution. And so we don't have graduate students vying for those research opportunities. You as an undergraduate get to dive into those opportunities right away. And so really getting your hands deeply immersed in that research, reporting, analyzing, collecting all of the data, not just cleaning up or helping carry equipment. We also set aside funding for students who have a research idea or intellectual curiosity of their own. So these are the Keller Venture Grants, up to $1,000 worth of funding for you to explore something that interests you in a deeper way. So we've had students spend time in Belize working with spider monkeys, spending time in Boston looking at AI technology, going to Costa Rica and studying wave patterns. This is funding set aside for you to say, I want to dive into something deeper. You don't have to find a faculty member with that particular area of expertise, but you just have to have the passion to go and explore that a little bit further and then come back and share that with the campus community. Similarly, we have funding set aside for students who are interested in wilderness excursions, as well as our Big Idea competition, which provides seed funding for students who are interested in starting up their own business or getting a product off the ground. Think kind of Shark Tank style there. But students have a number of resources at their disposal on campus as well. So thinking about their potential career fields or future trajectory, students can work with our Career Center from the moment that they arrive on campus, whether that's thinking about developing or crafting a cover letter or a resume, but also thinking about doing mock interviews, exploring potential career paths. Our Career Center will take students each year on a program called Tiger Trek, which goes to a major city, sometimes in the US, sometimes abroad, where students get to explore that city, but also some of the major corporations and industries there. So our students are in the background of this slide are at Target. We've had students go to US Airways, to Google. So really getting an opportunity to explore potential career paths within that industry, but also meet with CC alumni while they're there. So start to broaden that network and expand your network as you're thinking about life after CC as well. But I want to just share that there are a number of resources on campus for you to be successful in the classroom too. So I've already talked a little bit about the advising program in our advising hub, but also want to touch on the immense resources that you have access to just help you be successful both on the block, but also as a student in class. So thinking about our quantitative reasoning center, so making sure that you have the support that you need if you get stuck on any of those tricky math or science problems, but also the writing center to make sure that you have a place that you can have all of your writing reviewed and peer edited before you're turning any of that in for a grade. So really great ways to not only support you through the process, but also maybe make connections across campus that can help, again, as you're establishing that network and thinking about moving forward. And the real goal of everyone at CC is to lift each other up, to think about how can we all better ourselves as we're moving forward into whatever that next step may be. And so for some of our students, that will be continuing on into a graduate program, or for some of our students, it will be continuing on into a career field. And so as I mentioned, those academic advisors are really working with students one-on-one to determine what are your goals and aspirations, and how can we ensure that we're taking advantage of all of the opportunities to move you forward and make you the best possible candidate for whatever that next step may be as you're thinking about life post-graduation. All right, so before we dive into your questions, I do want to just spend a few minutes going through the admission and financial aid process as well. And so at Colorado College, we review applications holistically. We always have and will continue to do so. And so I know that this year and even part of last year, so whether that's your sophomore, junior, or senior years, I know these last 2 academic years have been a little strange with a global pandemic going on. And we recognize that. We know that your transcripts may not look the same. We know that your involvement outside of the classroom may not look the same. And so all of that will be weighed and considered as we're reviewing your application. Obviously, we want you to have taken measures to keep yourself and your family, your community members safe during the pandemic. And so won't be penalizing you if you weren't able to do that internship that you hopefully you had hoped to get involved in, or weren't able to participate in your athletic programs. That's just unrealistic. So what we continue to do is review applications holistically. This means there are no automatic admission standards to get into CC. So no magic GPA, no magic test score that automatically grants you admission. There's also no test score or GPA that automatically disqualifies you from consideration. We review every application cover to cover. We want to get to know you as much and as deeply as we possibly can. And so with that process, we're going to review everything that you're seeing on your screen. We accept 3 different applications: the Common Application, Coalition Application, and QuestBridge application, and have no preference which application you utilize. So you should utilize the application that makes the most sense for you in your college search. We first and foremost want to set students up for academic success at CC. So as I mentioned, the block plan is rigorous. It's fast-paced. So we're going to spend a lot of time on your academics. No surprise here, right? We're going to dive into your transcript. So we want to see within the context of your school. So if your school offers AP, IB, dual credit, honors, advanced, whatever that curriculum may look like in your school, we want to see that you've taken advantage of some of that you've pushed yourself and challenged yourself over the course of your 4 years, and that you've done well in those courses. We're going to focus on your core subjects, so your math, science, English, social studies, and foreign language classes, right? These are common courses across the country, and despite differences in curriculum. And so we want to see how you've done through your 4 years. We are a test optional institution. We actually adopted the test optional policy in the fall of 2019. So this is our 2nd year as test optional. And we really value a student's 4-year experience and think it tells a much more complete story than 4 hours, usually on a Saturday, that a test score does. And so we want students to be able to put their best foot forward in the college admission process. We want you to have a platform if you're really proud of your scores and want those to be part of your admission application, to present those and share those with us. If you don't feel like your scores are an accurate representation of your performance throughout high school or potential in college, we don't want you to feel obligated to share those at the same time. And so if you decide not to submit your test scores, there are no additional requirements for you. We're just going to review the entirety of your application and what's available to us. And that will not be held against you in our process. So we really want students to, like I said, have that confidence moving forward and feel like they're putting their best foot forward in the college admission process. Outside of academics, we want to see what kind of community member you've been and may potentially be at CC. So we're going to see this through a little bit of your writing. So seeing what you're passionate about or interested in, hopefully learning something else about you that we didn't otherwise glean from your application, and getting to hear your voice and personality come through. Outside of doing an interview with CC, which is optional, your writing is really the only time that we get to hear directly from you and in your words. So we want to hear your voice come through. And like I said, share something that's meaningful or valuable to you. We do have one supplemental question that we'll ask in the application as well, and that's why Colorado College? So this session today hopefully gives you a little bit of a leg up, hopefully something that I've shared or that you find through your independent research really resonates with you. We want to see what you're interested in about Colorado College, but also how you might contribute to our campus community. We'll get an opportunity for you to share your activities and leadership experience as well. So really sharing with us everything that you've participated in outside of the classroom. So this will look different for every single one of you, right? Thinking about clubs, organizations, whether that's in your school community or greater community, or family obligations, right? Maybe during this time where you were learning virtually, you had to help a younger sibling in navigating the virtual education experience. And so sharing those experiences with us so that we know everything that you've been doing in addition to your academic course load. Then we'll want to see 2 letters of recommendation from some of those core subject teachers. We really want to see them speak to your contributions in the classroom. And then your counselor will also submit some additional information about your school, and they do have the opportunity to submit a letter of recommendation on your behalf if they so choose. As I mentioned previously, we do review interviews in the process. They are optional. I definitely encourage everybody to do an interview if they can. This is, again, another way for us to hear directly from you and in your words, to have that conversation and get to know you away from, a 2D file on our computer. And so really getting the opportunity to see that personality come through, see what's meaningful and passionate, what's meaningful in your life and what you're passionate about. And so our interviews will also be structured in a way where we leave time and plenty of it for you to ask questions as well. So it's also an opportunity for you to kind of glean what being a member of the CC community might look like and whether or not it might be the right fit for you. All right, so as you're thinking about the application, please also make sure that you're keeping track of deadlines, as every school will be a little bit different on these. At Colorado College, we offer 2 different deadlines, but a couple of different options within each. So we do offer early decision, which is a binding application. As a reminder, you can only apply early decision to 1 college or university across the country. By applying early decision, you're entering into a contractual agreement with that institution. And so by applying early decision, you're indicating that you plan to enroll if admitted, and you're committing to that. So a couple of things if you're thinking about applying early decision to any college or university, right? It should be your top choice. No surprise here, after all, you are committing. And then you'll want to have explored the financial end of attending that institution as well. So we have a great net price calculator on our website, and I'll talk a little bit about kind of our financial aid policy and stance here in just a few minutes as well. Early action, on the other hand, is non-binding, so you can apply early action to as many colleges and universities as you'd like. By applying early action, you're indicating to that institution you want to hear back early, but you're not ready to commit any earlier. And just to clarify, some schools do have a restrictive early action. We are not one of those. So just making sure that you're making note of the distinction between those. We offer a second round of early decision, and so that second binding round due January 1st, as well as our regular action pool, which is also non-binding on January 15th as well. In addition to thinking about the application process, at the same time, you should also be thinking about the need-based financial aid and merit scholarship opportunities. And so at Colorado College, we meet 100% of demonstrated need based on the FAFSA, so the free application for federal student aid, as well as the CSS profile. So both forms are required, and we may require additional documentation based on the results of those. And so just making sure that you're submitting your financial aid documents by the same deadline that you're choosing for your admission application. And so we, like I said, commit to meeting 100% of need based on those forms for all of our admitted students. In addition to meeting need, that's where the majority of our financial resources will be focused, but we do have some merit scholarship opportunities. So the leadership, trustee, and presidential scholarships, you don't have to apply for. You actually don't have to even check a box indicating that you're interested in these. Your application for admission is your application for these general merit scholarships. So you would find out about those scholarships at the time of admission. The Barnes Scholarship, on the other hand, does require a separate application. We offer 3 of them every year, and they are full tuition scholarship for students interested in the natural sciences or in mathematics. And so if you're interested in that scholarship, please take a look at our website for the requirements. That deadline will be November 1st as well. All right, so we're on the last few slides here, bear with me, and then we'll jump to your questions. When I talk about meaningful demonstrated need, the award packaging structure that you're seeing on the right-hand side is what that would look like. So we would be filling in your demonstrated need with about 90%, almost 90% grant or money that you don't have to repay the institution. And then everything else is a partnership between you and the college. So opportunity, which you can accept or decline for student loan, as well as opportunity for you to work on campus. So to really engage in that process and partnership in your education. So I know we're moving quickly, and I'm happy to answer questions about any of this shortly, but I do want to just highlight again a few things here. Please take advantage of our Build Your Own Block Plan tool on our website. Again, this is a great way for you to drop in some classes. I know I had some sample or example classes on the slide today. But this is a great way for you to drop in courses that sound interesting to you, block breaks that sound interesting, and really build out your own year on the block. For those of you that are seniors or prospective transfer students, we would definitely encourage you to go ahead and submit your preliminary application on our website. This does not bind you to CC in any way. It doesn't even mean you have to submit an application later, but it gets you in our system so you know about programming that we're putting on so that we can update you with hints and tips on the application process. But it also lets us know, which deadline you are thinking about and which application you're thinking about so that we can go ahead and keep an eye out for your application to come through. We're also just wanting to remind folks, please make sure you're jotting down deadlines. Every school is a little bit different, especially when thinking about application and merit scholarship opportunities. And so I'm happy to kind of turn things over to you all. Please utilize the Q&A feature on your screen for any questions. We do have about 6 minutes left, and so plenty of time to address any questions that you may have. I know we moved quickly, but we do have a number of virtual sessions that we are offering on a weekly basis. So opportunities to engage with our current students, for example. And so these are all have different themes. And so we would love to continue to engage with you through your college search process. And so you can find some general contact information here, but you can also on our website find the contact information for all of our college reps. And so my name's Morgan Hybert. Again, I am the representative for the entire state of New Jersey. And so I am the one that will be your admission counselor through the process. And so please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you aren't thinking of any questions tonight, but they come up 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, please reach out to me and let me know questions big or small. I really want to make sure that you have all of the information that you need to determine whether or not CC might be the right fit for you in your college search process. And so please let me know how I can be of assistance in that process. And thank you again for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your time on your Friday evening. All right, so we have a question about animal sciences or neuroscience programs. We do have a neuroscience major. Unfortunately, we don't have any animal science programs. We do have a pre-vet program, so I don't know if you're looking specifically for veterinary school, but we do have a program to prepare students for veterinary school if that's something that you're interested in. We are one of a few schools that do have a full neuroscience undergraduate program though. Yes, thank you for your question. Any other questions that you all have? All right, I'm not seeing any questions, but again, my contact information is on our website, so please don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions moving forward. And again, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you all for participating. And Morgan, what an excellent presentation, so very thorough. So I'm glad that you all were able to participate with Morgan in this session. When we end in just a moment, you will receive a quick survey with 4 questions. Please, we'd love to hear your feedback. There are no more sessions tonight. This ended the last for the evening, but all the recordings will be available within about a week on the NJACAC.org website. So I encourage you to go there to learn about other schools that you might be interested in hearing from. So thank you again and have a wonderful evening.